Hey Virgo, welcome to your April 2017 Tarot Oracle with a little bit of astrology reading. I'm Mimi with Divination by Mimi. We will be doing an elemental spread with the Thoth or the Tehuti deck. We will be seeking clarification with the Cartouche based on ancient Kemetic or Egyptian mythology. And if we need it, we've got two types of runes in which to seek further clarification. But so far, things have been pretty direct, and here's why. April, regardless of what sign you are, you will be affected by all of the retrogrades. There are 4 planets in retrograde during this month. One of them is your ruling planet. So we'll get into Mercury in a minute. But as of right now, we're going to start with Venus. So a lot of these retrogrades are going to form aspects to other retrogrades occurring, which will have a huge impact on how you spend your thoughts, how you spend your time, what you focus your attention on. And I'm going to urge you to take advantage of the retrograde energy that naturally causes you to reflect back, return, reflect, revisit. Okay, that is the retrograde season. And this is a perfect opportunity to you revisit old wounds, cold concepts, old ideas, old paradigms, old relationships, old things and ideas you used to live by and have said things about. Because if you don't consciously go back and have a look at those things, they will show themselves to you, because that's the nature of retrogrades. They revisit and they come back up. So something you may have said, I don't know, 10 years ago that you believed strongly and you may not believe in anymore, if you don't take a look at it and cop up to it, own up to it, it will come back in and bite you in the butt, so to speak. So here we go with the astrological aspects occurring. Venus is still in retrograde as of the 1st of April. She will remain in retrograde until the 15th, where she goes direct. At the point in time when she goes direct, she will have been in Pisces, okay? She's in Aries now, but she by that point will have gone back to Pisces, and she will have formed a conjunction with Chiron. Chiron is the astrological, the body in space, the asteroid that, or the space body. I'm not sure exactly. It's not a planet. I think it's an asteroid, but basically it's the wounded healer, meaning it has to do with old wounds, old hurts, old pain, things that you may not have addressed emotionally. You may not have addressed them consciously. The retrograde is forcing you to consciously look at it. Okay, and when it's in conjunction, when Venus is going retrograde, making that conjunction with Chiron in Pisces, this will be a flood of emotions. Again, you did this a couple, like last month. This will happen again for us too. And there's a reason. It's not to punish you. It's not to make us, it's not to make us suffer. It is to make us really, really dust under the rug. Really, really look at those old things. Honestly. I mean, really honestly, because if you don't dig out the foundations and all the crap that's under there, you can't form a new tower. You can't build a new foundation if there's something rotted underneath it. So you really have to go back in there like surgery and get it all out. And that's what Venus is having you do. Take a look at those old wounds, those things that hurt, and how they formed your beliefs and limited you, right? Because it will serve you ultimately in the past up till now, and how if you change that one little belief that you've held for the last 20 years, how that will have a huge impact on the life that you lead going forward. This is really for all retrogrades, but Venus with the conjunction with Chiron really is about old hurts and wounds emotionally, okay? The other retrograde occurring is your ruling planet, which is Mercury. Mercury goes retrograde while in the sign of Taurus on the 9th of April, and will remain in retrograde until the 3rd of May. Okay, around the 21st of April, Mercury will have moved from the sign of Taurus back into the sign of Aries. Now, you're a thinker. You're Virgo. Your motto is I analyze. So you are all about thinking and analyzing and discerning good from bad, right from wrong, wheat from chaff. Okay. With Mercury being a very mental and communicative sign going retrograde, in Taurus, you know, retrograde, it's always going to revisit things. It's going to slow things down regardless. And in Taurus, it has to do with things that are more earthbound, slower moving things. When it goes to Aries, it's going to be fed by that energetic fire of Aries, that fast moving fire. And with Mercury being fluid and moving and nervous, active energy anyway, this is where you might communicate harshly. And others you might find are communicating with you harshly. So just like every other Mercury retrograde you've dealt with, is just happening amongst other retrogrades, which will compact or impact how we're feeling. We're going to be feeling a lot of pressure for the next month. Okay? So with Mercury in retrograde in Aries, and regardless, you're going to feel that the communications are haphazard, too fast. You might say things before you've thought about them. So the urgency here is to slow down. Retrograde is revisiting. So with Mercury retrograde, it's a good time to go back and finish projects, finish thoughts, finish things like that. Don't start new projects. If you can avoid it between the 9th of April and the 3rd of May, don't sign your name on the dotted line for divorce, marriage, school, graduation, buying a house, selling a house, anything of that nature. Anything that's going to affect your life in the next 5 to 10 years, you want to avoid making a decision on and sign, because not all the facts are going to be brought to light. Not all the facts will be present. Because in the communication of things, it's going backwards. Therefore, the messenger of the gods, which would normally be clear communication, has got a bit of trickery with it, because things are moving backwards. Things aren't really on good footing at this time. So hold off on those things. And with that in mind, take the time to finish old projects. And as you're taking the time to revisit old hurts, slow down your communication. Stop and think before you speak. Stop and think before you send that email. Okay? Also going retrograde, we have Saturn. Saturn will be going retrograde as of the, hold on, I think I passed it. Saturn goes retrograde on the 6th of April, will remain in retrograde until the 25th of August. Saturn will be in Sagittarius, but will be conjunct a good portion of this time with the galactic center. What does this mean? This literally means day one for us, the beginning of the chart. So with Saturn going retrograde means we're revisiting concepts of structure, of stability, things that we've always counted on as being structures that you could lean on, of good foundation, things like church, state, financial institutions, things, you know, things that you thought you could lean on as being tried and true are going to come up into question now. Old religious beliefs will come up into question. And Saturn is forming squares with two other retrograding planets. Saturn will be forming a square with Venus while she's in retrograde and while she's conjunct with Chiron, which is requiring, again, that you look back at those old hurts. Again, if you choose not to, whether you choose not to or not, it's going to show itself to you. You might as well be prepared for it and be honest and brave about it, revisiting it. Also, not just what you've experienced in the way of hurts and feelings and relationships. The retrograde Saturn is also making a square. A square is kind of a high impact aspect with another planet. Its other square that it's making is with Jupiter, also in retrograde, in the sign of Libra, which is about relationships, okay? And about things that you've done in relationships. So things that you've said. This will come, things that you said in the past that may not have been true can come back to bite you in the butt. So now is the time for you to be honest and brave and look back at them so that you're prepared for that. So that you can honestly say, yeah, that was a really messed up viewpoint that I have. You know, the neo-Nazis really do not have it all in the right order. They might have some bad ideas there. You see, that's a really ridiculous, you know, example I'm giving. But what I'm saying is you're looking back at things you might have verbally said and believed strongly in maybe 10 years ago. They don't fit now, but they're going to rear their head, and you're going to be kind of held to task, Saturn, right? Held to task, held to the standard that you said, and have to say, I'm sorry, I had it wrong. I really got it wrong. So this is a warning for you to be prepared for that kind of thing happening. And then, of course, the last retrograde planet, the fourth one, will be Jupiter. And Jupiter, let's see when Jupiter goes retrograde. Jupiter's been in and out of retrograde in the sign of Libra. So the only reason it's really impacting things this month is because of the fact that it's forming squares with Saturn. And that's the thing that makes it impactful. So I'm not sure the exact date that it enters another phase of retrograde Jupiter. But again, in the sign of Libra, this has to do with how you've related to other people. It's taking you back and looking at that, revisiting the way that you've experienced certain instances in life, milestones in life with other people, graduations, weddings, divorces. What did that mean? What was your responsibility in that relationship? And again, holding you not to task the way Saturn does, because Saturn will come up and bite you in the butt. But with Jupiter, it's more about, isn't it time to make a change? Hasn't this impacted you negatively long enough? Now that we're consciously looking at this, let's revisit this and see if it really holds true now. Okay? You're going to find this, on the macrocosm as well as in the microcosm, because as without, so within, as above, so below. We are one. It's a big jellyfish. So, all right, so that's all I have astrologically. Oh, I'm sorry, there are two more things astrologically to tell you about. There is a full moon on the 11th in Libra, and then there is a new moon on the 26th in Taurus. And I'll be uploading videos for those for all signs. But let's get into your tarot reading. Again, I will be using the Thoth or the Tahuti Tarot. And strangely enough, both Tahuti, Hermes, and Mercury are all the same Trismegistus. Thrice great, the same entity. So it's about knowledge, analyzing. And Virgo, your nature is to analyze things, so it's not going to be a huge leap for you to bravely, consciously look back at things that didn't work, and saying, that didn't work. Don't beat yourself up as you do it either. That's a tendency. You're this self-perfection that you have, this need for perfection, is a beautiful thing in so many ways, but you tend to beat yourself up with that. Just understand that we all make mistakes. That's part of growth. That's just what we do as we evolve. And that's why these retrogrades are necessary for everyone, because we make mistakes, so that we can revisit and have another shot, not only at this incarnation, but in future incarnations, to be our true, full, authentic self, be the best that we can be, have the biggest and best impact on the world that we can, on others that we can, and on ourselves, so that we can experience joy in this lifetime and in others. All right, Spirit says, Three of Cups, abundance in reverse. Earth, the North, says, oppression, the Ten of Wands in reverse. At least it's in reverse. That's good. The East, air, says, the Emperor in reverse. One major arcana, everything reversed so far. The South, fire, creativity, says, debauchery, the Seven of Cups, upright. And in the West, relationships, the Eight of Pentacles or the Eight of Discs, upright, prudence. Okay. So let's first have a look at what Spirit's communicating to you. You receive the Three of Cups, which is normally abundance. Free-flowing water, healthy circulation of water, filling the cups and flowing out again to be reused and used again. This particular card has its attributions of Mercury, your ruling planet, in Cancer. So this is Cancer on a high octave, logically using relationships, using the love that they have to attain all things, touching all areas of life with the natural empathic love that they have. And Mercury is part of that. That's the intelligence, but you have it in reverse here. So abundance is a joyful card. It's a celebration card, but in reverse, it would indicate to me that, and I'm surprised Spirit would have to remind you of this, but there's a level of seriousness that needs to happen here as it relates to your growth. Spirit is telling you that as you're taking this step backwards, it's important that you take this journey seriously. Take what you learned seriously. Take this opportunity, this retrograde time, which can make people shudder and fear. We will feel some pressure. It does interrupt our normal life as we feel it and know it. But take that opportunity seriously to look back and consider everything. I mean, really do your deep spring cleaning here into your psyche. Um, with Mercury in reverse, there may be a tendency to speak before you think. However, there needs to be a level of there needs to be a level of compassion. There's going to be a tendency as you look back, as you take this seriously and you look back, to really beat yourself up, as it is your tendency to do. And Spirit's reminding you that this can be your tendency, and it's asking you to show yourself some compassion as you revisit the past. Show yourself some compassion. Okay? I'll get clarification on that. In the north, in the earth, you're letting go of some oppressive things, projects. So you got the Ten of Wands in the upright position. This is oppression. This is the end of a cycle as it relates to some creative endeavor. And your creative center here has debauch, which is the Seven of Cups, which is a very, it's not a positive card. It indicates that there's too much saturation of something, too much investment of something that you may need to let go of. So there's something in your life as it relates to a project or creativity that has gotten to the point where it's too much. It's gotten to the point where you've taken on too much for too long. You're at the end of the cycle. Now you need to let it go. Some concept about your finances. This could have to do, maybe you're having difficulty getting your finances together. You've been holding on to maybe getting some help financially, doing bankruptcy, but it's time to let go. If you have been holding off on doing a bankruptcy because of some belief that you have, it looks like you're heading toward the time where, if it's not a bankruptcy, it's some kind of financial help. Maybe you're breaking down and letting someone lend you some money. Because Virgo, they don't like to rely on other people. They tend to be very self-reliant and very hard on themselves. So if there's an offer for some help here as it relates to finances, just take it. It looks like you're ready to take it, because I think you can see that in the long run, whatever you're investing here it's not, if you can see, this is the debauch card. This is the number 7 of Cups, as it relates to Netzach, the 7th Sephira in the Kabbalistic tree of life, which is an overindulgence of holding on to some kind of concept, saturating yourself in some concept. And it has to do with creative endeavors here. So it seems like you've given yourself wholly to something. This is Venus not well aspected in the sign of Scorpio. Too much saturation. This is gluttony. And it doesn't have to be with food or drink or sex or anything of the vices that we consider. This could be gluttony in the way of projects. You could be, I think this is related to this. I think that you've had some kind of project that you've been working on, and you've been holding on to this energy with it to the detriment of your finances. It looks like you've been pouring into some creative endeavor that you've had. You've been starting to pour finances into it, and time and energy. This could be both financial energy as well as physical energy. You've been pouring so much of this into this project with no return. I mean, there's nothing circulating. This is the time where you need to kind of let it go. And I think you're coming to that realization. 10 of Wands in reverse is you letting go of the oppressive nature of however it is that you're approaching this project or finances or something. This is some kind of a project. It's either a business or it's an endeavor, something that is really robbing you of either your financial or your health resources, and you're letting this go, which is good, because this is sick. Not sick as in you're sick, but as in this is not going to fix itself. This needs to be washed out and cleaned out. So maybe this here, this abundance, this word from Spirit in reverse, the 3 of Cups in reverse, is these are, all in alignment, and they're all pointing to whatever this project is. You need to let go of this. This overindulgence of whatever this project is, which is it's dead. This is a dead horse that you're shooting. Spirit is urging you to let go of whatever, stop any more resources that you have going into this. If this is financial and it's a business or a project, you need to either seriously reassess what this is and how it can happen. This is a done deal. I'm sorry, but whatever this project is you cannot invest any more financially. You cannot invest any more physically, energetically into this because it's depleting you completely. And Spirit is saying, don't let it go. It's not a failure. This is not a failure if you let something go. It's only a failure if you do the same thing over and over again. You don't learn from your mistakes. Again, your reading, just like every other zodiac sign's reading so far, has been completely in alignment with all of the retrogrades that are occurring. Let's move over here to thoughts. In thoughts, you got Major Arcana, Emperor in reverse. The Emperor on a higher octave is all about institutions, government, law and order, the nature of governing, the nature of controlling things. You got it on in reverse, which means that you are employing in your thoughts, and it makes sense with this, the lower octave of the Emperor, which makes the Emperor a dictator. Your thoughts are literally, you're driving yourself nuts. You're oppressing yourself. You have to let this go. Whatever this is, you cannot put any more energy into it. Something is telling me about a child. This could be a child that you're trying to help that has a drug problem or something, or a family member, something, and you're being extremely hard on yourself. In your thoughts, you are just ripping yourselves to pieces with guilt, with shame about something, but Spirit is telling you cannot hold up whatever this is any longer. I'm just getting the vibe that this is a child. If not a biological child, this is a family member or someone that you feel is a child that you have a stewardship over in some way that has a drug problem. And it's a never-ending pool that just empties out. It's a money pit or an energy pit or an emotion pit. And you can't spend any more on it. And you're beating yourself up over it. Seems very specific to me. It seems like somebody out there has a child with a drug problem or a mental problem or but with debauch, I'm thinking it's drug, drink, emotions, relationships. And they may not mean to do this, but they are robbing you of your resources, whether they're financial or energetic. And you have this guilty feeling about the fact that you owe this person something. But Spirit is telling you that you're being depleted here. Now over here in relationships, okay, and obviously this is relationships other than this one, you have the 8 of discs upright. This is called prudence. I think what this is telling you to do, firstly, you have people in your life that love you. However, prudence in its upright position in the west portion of the spread, being water, being emotions and relationships, you need to show prudence in the amount of energy that you expend on other people. I'm sorry, yours is running very long, but I'm getting a very clear message for someone. You need to show prudence in how you expend your energy, your finances, your time, your love, your care. Do not, what is that old biblical phrase, which is probably not even from the original era, but from the King James, do not throw pearls to swine. You know, obviously they won't appreciate pearls. This right now is you, this situation right here is you throwing your pearls, your wisdom, your love, your time, your finances to someone who cannot appreciate it. If they are in an addiction, they are so far into it that they are living literally moment to moment in the selfishness of that addiction, and it is robbing you blind, and you're feeling some kind of guilt about it, and you're beating yourself up over it. But no, Spirit is saying, no, you are within your rights to hold on because you're an entity experiencing a life as well, and you're being robbed. And it's really not their fault, it's your fault. Because right here, this is the sun in Virgo, your sign, saying Like you do in everything else in life, use prudence, use good judgment, good solid judgment. That's what Virgo is known for, analysis, right? And you have to separate the emotional aspect of this and the way that it's making you feel like you're some kind of failure, or that you are letting this person down, the guilt that you're feeling about this whole thing. You need to be more logical and analyze rationally. Use that mercurial part rationally. Disengage the guilt that you're beating yourself up with here, and decide who you give your resources to and who you tie them off from, because this is already dead horse. This is already, as you can see, infected, sick water. And whatever clean love and energy you're giving it, it's not going to change this. This has to change itself. And I really feel this is about a parent or a sibling or someone who takes a stewardship role over another, and that other person that they've been helping and helping and helping has been taking and taking and taking, and it's killing you spiritually. Use this retrograde to find out why you feel you have to give of yourself till there's nothing left to someone in need to be a decent person, because it's not true. Okay? You're a good person too, and you deserve to have good things too. Whoa, okay, Virgo, I don't think that needs any more clarification. I'm not going to bother with the cartouche because that's really clear to me. This is for someone, if not all of you. Again, this is a general reading, so if you want something with a specific question in mind to you, please email me at mimimemes@hotmail.com. I'm really sorry this is a 26-minute long video, but I do hope it helps someone out there. This is obviously for someone out there. Okay, you take care, Virgo. I will see you again for the full and the new moon readings. Otherwise, I will see you at the beginning of April. Beginning of May, and you have a good April.